When well, during the time that I, well, actually, when I was working at the hospital was when the big drive for cable TV and cable access started, and it was still going on. Well, of course, when I went to work for the schools, it was as cable TV coordinator. But I immediately was interested in the whole idea of cable access and people making their own stories, making their own video. And the classic one of the things that was used over and over again in the drive to have cable access as part of the cable franchise was this story of some young people in Iowa who it was a little town, and the stoplights were set too fast, and so older people try to cross the street when it turns green, and then it turned red again, and the cars are honking, and and people tried to talk about it at the city council, and nothing ever happened. Well, these young people who had learned something about video got this idea. It's kind of like, what's the best medium to use to tell the story? They set a camcorder up at the intersection and just let it run for an hour or two, and then brought it down to City Hall and let them watch it at the council meeting. And then the council people could see what was happening. It wasn't just a story being told that you could dismiss. They could see it, and the stoplights, the timing was changed so nobody would get hurt, even if they were slow getting across the street. Well, there's just so many uses like that. I mean, when people think about TV or movies, they think about the elaborate productions and, did I like that movie? Do you like that show or whatever? But when I was at the hospital, I mean, we built the channel so that it was live call-in TV, so it was participatory from the start. But I built it so that children who were hospitalized could help make the programs. I mean, we had a little boy once that wanted to be the voice of a puppet, and he was in traction, so he couldn't come down to the studio. So we put the puppet that he wanted on the screen, and then he did the voice over the call-in phone, and so he was the puppeteer for that. And I let older junior high type run camera. They made graphics and all of that, and there was this one young woman, probably 13, 14 years old, who was down in the studio all the time. She made graphics, she wrote, kind of scripts for PSAs for apples or oranges or whatever, and just always doing something. And she also wrote poetry, which I thought was very good. I mean, she showed it to me, but she would never appear on camera. And it was clear to me that she was very talented, verbally and artistically, but she just would not go on camera. And I didn't quite understand, but one day I said to her after the show was over, I said, would you like to, I could tape you reading one of your poems here. And then you could look at it, and then we could erase it as soon as it's done, so nobody else has to see it. And she thought, well, that'd be okay. And so she read one of those wonderful poems, looked at the video, and then looked up at me and said, gee, I don't look so bad, do I? And she had leukemia, and so she had lost her hair and always had a really nice looking scarf on, but that was her perception, that she looked terrible. And it was like that video turned that around for her.
So many examples. I always think of that when my very first year teaching with video cameras, and I was, hodgepodging my way through it kind of a thing. And I had one camera for the class, but I had a naughty boy who couldn't read or write well. And all he would do is just scratch the pen on his paper and just draw really hard. And didn't know quite what to do with him, in this class. But then I decided that he should be the camera operator. And so I handed him the camera. I said, why don't you run the camera, do this? And he was like, you're going to trust me with this? And it just totally turned him around for that whole semester, because he was like, oh my God, it's a tool I can use. And look how special, and so it's just stuff like that, that the power of that is so incredible.
Yeah, and when I was running the programs for kids in trouble, that's when portable video equipment came out, and I wasn't able to do much with this, but that's where I kind of discovered the power of this. It was fashionable back then to have a car club for guys in trouble with whatever,
Yeah.
and everybody worked together on the car. But the video is the same thing. The verbally talent, and then the people mechanical that don't want to. I mean, there was something for everybody, but you have to work together, and you learn that you can't just flop a camera around. You have to, be able to think, plan, read, and write a script to make it turn out good. And so
Yeah, it opens up a world for them. Yeah.